What is the most dysfunctional family Christmas moment you remember from your childhood? I was 9 years old when my mom announced we were doing authentic Victorian Christmas that year. No electricity after 6 p.m., only candles. We'd sing carols around the piano, eat figgy pudding, wear period costumes she'd been sewing for months. My dad looked up from his newspaper. We don't have a piano. I rented one, Mom said. It arrives Christmas Eve. That should have been my first warning. Christmas Eve came. The piano arrived. It was massive, ancient, and according to the delivery guys, probably hasn't been tuned since Carter was president. They wheeled it into our living room, crushing Mom's carefully arranged Victorian village display. Porcelain houses shattered everywhere. Mom didn't even flinch. Ambiance, she whispered. At 6 p.m. sharp, Mom killed the power to the entire house. She'd actually flipped the main breaker. My teenage sister screamed because her hair straightener died mid-straighten. One side of her hair looked like a poodle, the other side bone straight. You look perfect for the era, Mom said, handing her a bonnet. Dad tried to object, but Mom was already lacing him into a waistcoat. I got knickers. Actual knickers. My sister took one look at me and said, "You look like you're about to sell newspapers and die of tuberculosis." Mom made us gather around the piano. She opened a songbook to God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen and told my sister to play. "I don't know how to play piano," my sister said. "It's just keys," Mom replied. "Press them melodically." What followed can only be described as cats fighting inside a dumpster. My sister was just slamming her hands down randomly. Mom kept singing louder to drown out the chaos. Dad was trying to sneak back to the breaker box. Then my Uncle Frank arrived. Nobody had told Uncle Frank about Victorian Christmas. He walked in wearing a light-up Christmas sweater, carrying a bucket of KFC and a case of Coors Light. He stopped dead in the doorway. "What in the dickens is happening here? We're experiencing Christmas as it was meant to be," Mom said, not breaking character for a second. Uncle Frank looked at my sister's hair, my knickers, the candles everywhere, and the piano that sounded like it was being murdered. He set down his KFC. "I'm calling someone. Frank, sit down and have some figgy pudding." "What the hell is figgy pudding?" That's when the piano caught fire. I don't know if it was the candles Mom had placed on top of it, or the ancient wood, or divine intervention, but suddenly there were flames, real flames, shooting up from the keys. My sister screamed and jumped back. Her massive hoop skirt knocked over 3 more candles. The Victorian village display, or what was left of it, ignited immediately. Uncle Frank threw his entire case of Coors Light at the flames. It did nothing except make the room smell like a burning frat house. Dad finally reached the breaker box and flipped the power back on. The lights came on just in time for us to see Mom trying to suffocate the piano fire with her petticoat. She was screaming, "Not the piano! I put down a deposit!" Uncle Frank called 911. The fire department arrived 7 minutes later. They put out the fire, but our living room looked like a Victorian war zone. Charred piano, melted village, singed costumes, everything smelled like beer and burned wood. The fire chief looked around. "Ma'am, what happened here?" Mom, still in her half-burned costume, soot on her face, looked him dead in the eye. "We were having an authentic Victorian Christmas." "Well," he said slowly, "you succeeded. Fire was very authentic to the Victorian era." Uncle Frank ordered pizza. We ate it in our costumes sitting in the driveway because the house smelled terrible. My sister's hair was still half straight, half poodle. Dad still had soot on his waistcoat. "Merry Christmas," Uncle Frank said, raising a Coors Light. Mom started crying, then laughing, then crying again. We ordered Chinese food the next year.